this episode of The Breakfast Show, and we are going to start with the Renaissance Dam. The Renaissance Dam was that crisis which I think worried and was the reason behind the worries of many Egyptians, not only the high-ranking officials or the government or even the head of a state, but every and each Egyptian citizen would like to know what's going on in this Renaissance Dam issue and what if this project is going to deprive Egypt from its national security and from its the fortune or what we have, the water we have, the Nile water. Egypt was named as the gift of Nile water, of the Nile River. Today, is it going to be that different, or we are going to defend our national security and we are going to end this problem with the political and dialogue and with the technical solutions? The details we are going to discuss with our dear guest live here in the studio, Mr. Amir Nabil, the managing editor of the Middle East News Agency. Thank you very much for being with us, sir. And of course, our dear guest, Dr. Haytham Mamdouh, the head of Irrigation Engineering, Faculty of Engineering, Alexandria University. Thank you very much for being with us, sir.
Good morning, Dr. Haytham. To start with, how do you see the agreement which was signed by Egypt, Ethiopia, and Sudan concerning the Grand Renaissance Dam? And many people were skeptical about that agreement and the fact that Egypt did sign an agreement admitting the establishment of the Grand Renaissance Dam, and many people are saying that could be used against us. So how do you see that, and how this agreement could preserve our rights?
Yes, after 4 years of negotiations, now we have a document, which is principles of Declaration of Principles. Those are 10 principles. If you go through those principles, 5 of them are political and 5 are technical. So from the political point of view, there is 5 good principles in which that we will respect the development, the cooperation, and we. Principle number 6 could summarize all the 9 other principles in which building trust. So this is one of the main key.
But isn't that a bit vague, Dr. Haytham? How can we build trust? The fact that it might be somehow different from our point of view than the Ethiopian point of view. How we are hurt, or how our share could be affected, since we are already suffering from water scarcity, as you have kindly said.
Building trust is the 5 technical issues related to the crisis, as you have mentioned, about that dam, and in other subjects like education and medicine and other. There is a lot of today, for example, our Prime Minister, Mr. Engineer Ibrahim Mahdi, is now to attend the 18th summit of COMESA. So building the trust not between us and Ethiopia, between the 3 countries,
Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia. Yes.
But just there is a very important 5 technical point about that dam will not cause a significant harm, about the fair and appropriate use of water, about also the dam security, and about also how we will fill that reservoir and the operation rules of that reservoir. All those 10 points has been mentioned clearly in the Declaration of Principles. So from my point of view, this is really an outstanding achievement during this time. But don't forget that during the next following days, we will still going through in more details about the technical route in which you should select the consultant firm from one of the 4 consultant firms who has submitted their proposal to the 3 countries. So there is not all the problem has been solved till now, but there is also the technical route in which we should wait until the final report of the consultant firm will issue and decide.
But I think that there is a problem already in choosing this consultant office.
Yes, there is a serious problem between the 4 consultants from Australia and PRL from.
Why?
Because 2 of them, we don't have any relation with them. We have a relation with Artelia and Deltares, and we prefer one of them. But on the other hand, Deltares, for example, has issued a report about the impact of that dam on Egypt. So just this could be decided during on next Sunday, as it has been mentioned. It was planned to select that consultant firm today on Monday, but it has been postponed to next Sunday. So on Sunday, maybe 1 or 2 consultant firms will be selected for admitting that study about the impact of that dam on Egypt.
Mr. Nabil, Dr. Haytham was speaking mainly about the technical issues and about the consultant office, and this is of course very much important because the technical part of the issue cannot be neglected. But let's focus here on the political side of the coin. After this of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in front of the Ethiopian parliament, we thought that at least half of the problem was solved. Do you agree with this or no? And the second part of my question is, whenever we are going through more deeply rooted relation and speaking about promoting relations with Ethiopia, do you think that this is going to affect this crisis or this problem, or this is going to go in parallel?
I think our relations with Ethiopia is very strong along many decades, and now the problem of Renaissance Dam has come out to be a new era of our relations. Some ordinary citizens, Egyptian ones, are thinking that it is a problem in our relation, and it will be some more problems if the high dam will be complete in some time. Now we speak about 40% of the dam is complete, and if it is complete totally, I think there is another political problems in the eyes of the ordinary people. Now there is some kind of conflict between the experts, as I think I was discussing that with Dr. Haitham on air. Some are skeptical about completing this dam, and some others say that it is very positive for the Ethiopian, for the Sudanese. For Egypt, we however, we have in Egypt two seas and one river, one big river, but we don't have enough amount of water from the rain and so on. On the other side, Sudanese have more rains and Ethiopia like that. So the problem here is our relations with Ethiopia on the political arena has to be solved like speeches in the parliament, like negotiations with committees or so. That has been discussed and succeeded to be complete during or from the speech by the President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in the Ethiopian parliament. There's a lot of points, controversial points in our relations with Ethiopia has been going over or something like that. But still, there is skepticism in the eyes of the ordinary people and some experts. So I think there is more than one facts are not clear enough for our eyes. It has to be cleared after some time to know all the truth about this dam.
From your point of view, Dr. Haitham, what are the guarantees given to Egypt to preserve its rights after signing this principle of the agreement of principles, which was signed in Sudan? Do you believe that actually our share of the Nile water could not be harmed if we have reached a certain consensus between Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia with the establishment of the Renaissance Dam?
Yes, I believe in that, but keeping in fact that all our water coming from outside Egypt, it come mainly from Ethiopia, passing through Sudan for 2,600 kilometers, and after that come to Egypt. We have a right, historical right from 7,000 years. We use some amount of water, which is estimated by 55.5 billion meter cube of water every year. So this amount could not be affected if we will build a very good bridge of trust between us and Sudan and Ethiopia. The impact of this dam on Egypt is quite clear for professionals that this dam is located at the border between Ethiopia and Sudan. If this dam will be used for producing energy only, and all the water will be released for operation of the turbines, so the water will pass completely through Sudan and come to us according to the share of 1959 between Egypt and Sudan. The amount of water will not be affected, will not be reduced. It could be even increased because this dam will prevent flooding inside Sudan land and could for that making equitable or equal regulation of the flow through all Sudan. So the total amount of water arriving to Egypt could increase. This is, I believe in that, could increase if we have very good agreement with Sudan and Ethiopia. In that sense, so we just could wait for the near future until that consultant firm will issue its report, and everything will be clarified in
In
terms
your
of
opinion,
number.
sir, how much would it take?
Will take time.
Yep.
Initially stated that it could take 5 months, but in the principle of agreement, they mentioned clearly at not maximum that, not more than months. Is the principle
As
of
Mr.
agreement.
Nabil said, till the moment, about 40% of the dam is
It's
already
already built.
constructed. Then, if you're talking about 5 months, meaning that those negotiations are going to take time while the Ethiopians are already building.
Yes, it could take time because the filling of the reservoir could not made at any time. It should start in September.
The coming month of September.
If they will skip this September, they could not fill the reservoir during, because the hydraulics
So
characteristics.
and now the number, the amount of water which would be kept in the reservoir is how much?
That reservoir size is 74 billion meter cube, and the annual passing discharge is about 48. So the question is, how many percent of those 48 will be stored in the reservoir in the first year? Should notice that the dead storage that we will lose, this is clearly that present a loss for Egypt and Sudan, is the dead storage 14 billion meter cube. This is in terms of number.
14.
So 14. So the remaining quantity is about 34 billion meter cube. It will be stored in the first year, or it will be released or stored in September and released during all the year.
These points were not discussed and they were not
been
mentioned.
discussed. Not been discussed because till now the reservoir didn't reach that level of 590 meter to store that dead storage. So I believe that the maximum amount that could be stored during this year could
With
not,
no harm to Egypt or
with
Sudan.
no harm to Egypt, because the main factor affecting Egypt is what will be the water level at our Lake Nasser. So if we have a higher water level, so the harm to Egypt will not be significant. But if the water level is low, now during those days, our water level is about 175. If it will be below 159, we will have significant harm. So it depends that just we are looking to the what is called win-win situation, and the principle of agreement.
Indeed, yes.
We have got the opportunity to sell the electricity from that dam. So just on Sunday, the consultant firm will be declared, and this is from the technical route.
Let me take from your own words, sir, the win-win situation, and take it to Mr. Amir. Whenever we are talking about a win-win situation, we are talking about the best interest of the two peoples, the Ethiopian and the Egyptian. I think we have not heard about the term popular diplomacy, except in very few occasions, and especially in that a very specific issue, the Renaissance Dam. And we have sent delegations of popular diplomacy to Ethiopia to discuss this issue, and I think they included engineers just to discuss the issue from the technical point of view. And we do have also what we call the soft power, which is of course the church. As we all know that the Orthodox Church in Ethiopia is affiliated to the mother church here in Egypt. How do you see those ways to help in solving the problem of the Renaissance Dam?
All of these factors, in my opinion, saying that we have strong relations with Ethiopia over the decades, over the history, and still there are strong relations. Our economic interests with Ethiopia is over the joint ventures and companies and delegations, commercial ones, between us and them, businessmen coming through, and we have to benefit from all of these interests between each other. COMESA conferences coming on, all of these saying that we have joint interest with Ethiopia, and it has not to be cut, or our interests above all of these. And the River Nile interests at the same time on the other side are very important for us. Now we have to discuss all of these issues on diplomatic arena, on the political ones, between political ministers or political officials, and the church already is one of these sides. But still there, if on the irrigation side, if I ask about the international firm now, is saying that the matter is still there, and no change will be happening after some day about the report. If they say that any harm might be there in our interest, I don't think so, but I need an answer from an expert like Dr. Haytham about that, because this is one of the possibilities there. Maybe the firm will say that no change has to be done, and Ethiopia is right. We have to stop our negotiations about this dam. Maybe I'm not, I don't think if it is the similar one, if nuclear issue with Iran is peaceful or not. Now we are speaking about the dam is for electricity generating or for making harm on Egypt's share on water. So I need an answer from that about that. And if you ask Dr. Haytham about that, I think I need an answer.
I have one question to both of you.
Yeah.
Is it that serious, or we're exaggerating in the media?
It was previously, it has taken over and now is below the reality that we are, the real situation, that there is some negative impact could occur in Egypt due from the water usage, but not like as simple as it has been mentioned during those days, and not as serious as it has been mentioned from two
So
seasons.
in both cases it was
Exaggerating.
dealt with not in a proper way, I believe.
Let us forget about that dam and get that of Aswan High Dam. Did Aswan High Dam has negative impact on Egypt and positive impact? Yes, it has a serious positive impact. And on the other hand, it has some negative impact. At the time when we have built that dam of Aswan High Dam, did anything in the media has been mentioned about the negative impact of Aswan High Dam? I don't think so. So the reality should be as that dam of Ethiopia have for sure negative impact on Egypt. The most serious concern, I don't want to use the word concern, not fear or crisis or panic, word concern, that about water usage. It will be used in irrigation or not. If it will be used in irrigation, so we will have a serious impact on Egypt. If not, I think that we could go to the win-win situation in which they could exchange from them the electricity and so on.
But Dr. Haytham, don't you think that the Egyptians are right to be concerned, as you have mentioned, because we are already suffering from water scarcity and the population is increasing in Egypt? So, with the construction of that dam, which might reduce our shares from the water, that is a very alarming thing for Egypt.
That dam, if water will be reduced, it will be reduced from the water usage from Sudan for the irrigation expansion. This is the main concern. But we should look for how to increase our share of water, and this could happen with South Sudan about harvesting a lot of water in Mashar marshes and also Gongli. So there is maybe about 7 or 8 projects that we could increase our share of water. So just I think I really encourage that very good situation about the declaration of principles. And in one of the principles, it has been mentioned clearly that this dam will be only for energy generation, not for irrigation expansion.
Sir, Dr. Haytham said about those exaggerations, or as us, that simply I should seize the opportunity to ask about the role of media here. And how much media was playing a very important role, whether in exaggerating or minimizing how much this issue can be considered as a crisis or only as a problem, a concern or as a fear.
Actually, I think the media is a mirror for what's happening over the conflict between experts. They are showing all of these conflicts between experts about how dangerous is that dam or not. And on the same side, the experts' podiums to face the public opinion is the media. So all of these experts need the media to show their opinions. So the media, if you say speak about some anchors or some people in the media, some figures about some people in some channels, and saying their own personal opinions and without scientific facts or without discussions with the experts or so, I think that's wrong. It has, all the opinions has to be showed and viewed to the people through experts. So now I think there's some conflict between the experts about the dangers and the dangers of this dam. Solve it first between all of them. But the media still has important role. I'm not simply
we are cleared
defending
of the
about
charge.
that. No, no.
We are cleared of this charge.
I'm not defending simply about this media. I think they have very important role about showing and viewing all the views about this dam, but still it has to be on facts and on truth, not on personal views.
Finally, Dr. Haytham, do you believe that the coming phase will witness more solutions, more agreements regarding this dam, especially if the consultancy company did start its work and start to issue its findings regarding that thing, and how these findings of the company could be binding to all states?
This is one of my main concerns, that we will put all the factors for that consultant firm.
Eggs in one basket?
Yes. So what report has been issued by this consultant firm, we should all, according to the declaration of principles, we should respect that report.
So it's binding according to the principle, the declaration of principles. It's binding to all three countries.
But we could have, if we have some complaints, there is another route that we could make another selection of another expert if we have some comment. But let us returning back to the tripartite report.
Yes.
When it has released, we in Egypt have seen that report, that it has been mentioned as significant harm on Egypt. On the other hand, Ethiopia mentions that it has been on their side. So this is the definition or clarification or justification of any technical report. So I am sure that the four consultant firm has quite a very good and outstanding expertise to just issue that report and answer the most critical question: what will be the optimal size of that reservoir without causing what is mentioned in the declaration of principle, significant harm.
Indeed.
Definition of harm, how many meter cube? This is has not been justified in terms of number. Thank you.
So, Dr. Haytham Mamdouh, Head of Irrigation Engineering Department, Alexandria University, thank you very much for being with us, sir. Mr. Amir Nabil, the Managing Director of the Middle East News Agency, have a very good day, sir. Of course, we are going to leave you with the promise to see you again in another episode of The Breakfast Show. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you very much for being with us. And now on the sidelines of the 11th edition of Alexandria International Book Fair, Nile TV's Nermeen Abdulrahman had this exclusive interview with Hani Misiri, the governor of Alexandria, who spoke about the cultural atmosphere in the province and ways to promote it in addition to the challenges